Hey everyone, Blake Lovell, Southeastern 14, back here with more SEC basketball roster thoughts as the Must Bus continues to stay on course right now, folks. As Eric Musselman has done it once again, back to the transfer portal, and this time he adds a very key addition, I think, for this 23-24 Arkansas roster as he brings in Tramon Mark from Houston to join the mix in Fayetteville. And this is another we talk about, significant additions for the Arkansas Razorbacks heading into next season. This is another one. We mentioned Keon Minifield in the previous video. If you're an Arkansas fan, you didn't see that one, go back and check it out. I gave some thoughts on Minifield joining the mix and kind of what that means heading into next season. But now you add someone in Tramon Mark who comes from Houston, and if you're a basketball fan and you've watched Houston play under Kelvin Sampson, you know kind of what the staples are of that program. Mark averaged 10.1 points per game, 4.9 rebounds per game, averaged about a steal per game last season. I think he made 39 3-pointers, shot 39% from the floor. So, those are areas I'm sure he'll continue to improve in on the offensive end. But the important points I think that you really look at here in adding someone like Mark to the mix. He started all 37 games for a team that was a number one seed in the NCAA tournament. And keep in mind, he also played, I think, in all 32 games back in the 2021 season. Injury sort of shortened his 21-22 season. But yes, starting all 37 games and playing 29.4 minutes per game last season for a number one seed, that is significant. And you guys know, you've heard me talk about just sort of what teams are looking for at this stage. And, mentioning this particular NCAA tournament, and we talked about some of these older teams and having guys who have a lot of experience. Well, Arkansas is getting a guy who certainly has that experience at the high level, in terms of being able to play that many minutes on a team that won that many games, and being, I think, one of only two guys who did start every game for Houston this past season. So that is significant. And as I said a minute ago, the staples of the Kelvin Sampson program. And if you guys know, I'm sure, very knowledgeable basketball fans understand that Houston was driven by their ability to just go out and defend and keep defending and defend some more. Now, they were obviously great in a lot of areas, but this was a team, and kind of what to expect from Kelvin Sampson's teams. They're always going to be really good on the defensive side of the floor. And so you're getting someone in Mark here, I think, who's going to really contribute in that area because he's a good defender and he's played within a team that goes out and understands the value of having to defend on every single possession. And we know too, that, Arkansas, that's been something else, when you look at this team, as Muss has been there, and I'm going to pull up the numbers now. But, you look at, so the past three seasons, Arkansas has finished in the top 20, I think, in adjusted defensive efficiency. So, yes. So kind of the parallels there as you look at it, that's going to continue to help Arkansas, I think, move in that direction to continue to be a top tier defensive team, which we always say there's a lot of those in the SEC. And you kind of have to be these days to be able to kind of stay in that top tier in the conference. So, yes, Mark's going to be able to add that to the mix. I think when you look at just the skill set that he brings, again, someone who can make plays, someone who, now added to the mix. I think what's even more interesting perhaps here as we look at it, we did talk about the addition of Keon Minifield to the mix. And now when you bring in someone like Mark, well, now you're really starting to build, sort of that perimeter backcourt type play. And we also know, of course, that Layden Blocker's coming in. And when you kind of add all those dynamics to the mix, and you also mentioned, the possibility of Devo Davis and kind of what his next move is going to be. We don't know exactly yet on that. But obviously, Muss and company have put together a pretty, fascinating group here as we head not even towards the end of the transfer portal yet. We're only, basically entering the second week of April now. And so, but I think what is most impressive is they've done this pretty quickly to be able to add guys like this to the mix. And Mark was someone, that was certainly getting other SEC interest. I want to say Florida and A&M were also kind of in the conversation there. And, you just look at what he's been able to do. And look, his best game of the season, and I know I'm kind of going all over the place here, but I think it's worth noting his best game of the season came against Auburn in the NCAA tournament. A guy again who came out and at 26 points, went 9 of 13 from two, didn't make a three, but went 8 of 9 from the free throw line, had 9 rebounds. So yeah, I mean, you're talking about someone who I think adding him to the mix and then combining that with Keon Minifield, and again, Minifield more of a point guard type guy, but just a guard on the perimeter who can do a variety of things. But you've got guys, and we always use the phrase high motor, right? I mean, you've got energy guys when you look at Minifield and Mark here, and those two guys together, potentially on the floor. And as we said, you've got Blocker coming in, and don't really know exactly what the rest of the picture is going to look like, but the backcourt is shaping up very nicely. When you just look at, I think just the play on the perimeter, the wing play, and those kind of things, like there are a lot of things that you have to like, given this addition of Tramon Mark here, because yeah, I mean it's that standard that's been set now for Arkansas and understanding kind of what the expectations are, but you do have a guy coming over from a team that was a number one seed, and at many points throughout the season, seemed to be the number one team in the country. And I think there's just value in that experience alone. Guy who's played a lot of minutes, the experience factor, which we talked about throughout the entire NCAA tournament. It's just all those things combined. I think it just makes it a great addition once again for Eric Musselman. And I don't have to keep repeating it, but you guys know what I've said for years now. It's just you're probably not going to find a better sort of system that Arkansas has for being able to go out into the transfer portal and identify exactly what they need to fit the roster they feel they're going to have for the upcoming season, and to go out and identify those players exactly and bring them in and find a way to mesh it all together. And Eric Musselman's done such a great job with that. Sure, there have been some guys who have come in, maybe not been exactly what you would expect them to be, but for the most part, when he swings in the transfer portal, usually he's hitting it pretty far. To use the baseball term, I guess, for a basketball scenario here. But that's just kind of what Arkansas has done, and so I would expect more of the same here with Mark. Yeah, I just think that it's not just Mark; it's just combining him and understanding the playing style that you're going to have now with the guys around him. And I think it's all about players that can complement each other very well. And I think when you look at the way this roster is starting to pan out heading into next season, you're starting to see how all these guys are going to be able to complement each other. And I just think that's going to, once again, make Arkansas a very, dangerous team and an SEC title contender yet again there in Fayetteville. So, yes, a good addition for the Hogs, and the Must Bus keeps rolling right along here in the transfer portal, and we will have it all covered at Southeastern 14 as we continue throughout the offseason and look at all these transfers and, of course, heading into next season. So we'll have a lot more on the way here. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. That helps us out. A lot of other stuff, SEC football, SEC baseball. It's all here on the channel. So be sure to check everything out there. And once again, if you enjoy all the stuff we do here, again, be sure to hit that subscribe button. That really helps us out. And yes, we appreciate your support, as always, of the channel. And we'll talk to you again here soon at Southeastern 14.